YouTube and BitChute friends, this is a must-see, I think. It's unusual for me to make any more comments about Owen Benjamin, but the guy is right. Uh, Many of his presentations that I've watched, there is such a, um, it's not just a kernel of truth. He's actually nailed it on quite a number of things. Now, there's a whole other side to this person, I think, that's not as obvious. People who are a fan and just focus on the things that sound good and sound right. And in this particular case, I'm going to use his presentation. It's Owen Benjamin roasting Robert F. Kennedy, and he makes a lot of great points about the society that we live in and the people we admire. And this is directly related to my video where I said the next PSYOP, the operation they're going to launch against us, will be delivered by a saint. And this makes a lot of sense. The context that he's creating about this person, vicious. I mean, a vicious, vicious ridicule, and quite frankly, deserved. Well, deserved from the point of view that a person sticks their neck out in the public domain like this Kennedy character. And Benjamin points out very clearly that the history of this family is at best dubious and at worst criminal, right from Joseph Kennedy and the Klan and the association of what were the elites. And I think I'll switch over to, I'm going to attach a link to this. You can have a listen, especially the first 30 minutes or so, where he roasts the saint. And people actually invoke, the people that argued with him on Twitter invoked biblical characters, which is beautiful. I thought that was very fitting because it's already in the psyche that this Kennedy character is a saint on some level already. So I said the next PSYOP will be delivered by a saint, and I'll go on my face right now. All right, friends and everyone else. Owen Benjamin, right, with his brutal dissertation on this Kennedy character. He picked on his speech impediment, his throat something or other. Apparently it's an affliction from a vaccine. And he has been, RFK has been very vocal on the vaccine side of things. And I was listening to part of his interview with a Rogan character. These are all front people, always, always. At the level of exposure and publicity, the Rogans, the Kennedys, all these people, Benjamin gets this totally right. These are part of a very elite class that are, or these people are chosen based on the perception that the owners have of where we are as a society at any given time. So Owen is right when he says, he makes a comment about the fact that elites always give us the goods after the operation is finished. This is quite insightful in the sense that he's able to look past what most people get stuck on, the perception of something or someone. When someone is put in front of us like this Kennedy character, we tend to ignore the entire history of the Klan, and we say, well, you know, it's like there's some bad apples, and even the good apples are bad apples. The surface looks nice and shiny, but as you split it open into the core, it's all rotten inside. And I would say that would be the Kennedy phenomenon. Kennedy has been elevated, I'm talking about the ex-president guy, to a level of a saint. And now they're resurrecting a version of that again in this guy. And Owen has dissected the nature of this person just based on a physical perception of him. So he's doing the politically incorrect analysis of a person at this time in history. He calls himself a comedian. He's allowed to do it. Ordinary people who are just living ordinary lives are not allowed to make fun of people with disabilities. I'm a painter, I'm an artist. I'm allowed to make comment on the society that I perceive because it is in our nature to expose the world that we live in from a level of inspiration and insight. And I think people are drawn to, I think the arts have always been very high up in the esteem even of the owners who collect the work way after people are dead, and it's like the operation is finished and then they jump on board with their rear view mirror and buy the work for millions of dollars while the artists themselves were paupers and died in abject misery. And but that's irrelevant because now we exalt these people for having had such great insight, and they can scuttle whatever insight there might have been, scuttle it by making it mainstream or absorbing it into the bosom of eliteness, and all that sort of stuff that was considered subversive all of a sudden becomes acceptable. This is kind of like Owen's take on reality, and I have to say, I am. Let's see, what am I drawn to? I still listen to him occasionally because his insights are relevant. The personality for me is problematic. But then I don't have to live with the guy, and I should just forget about it and not complain about him. However, I think there is a very important defect in this person that he can't see. He defends himself on his narcissism actually quite often. He refers to it. Obviously, people have identified the narcissistic aspect to him, but that doesn't detract from the fact he's right about this Kennedy character. And a couple of months ago, I did a video in which I said, the next shit show will be delivered by a saint. So we have, in the way that people were responding to Owen Benjamin's brutal critique of this individual, it appears, when I was listening to it, it fit right into the concept that I believe that people will be duped by what they consider to be an infallible person, like a pope, like the guy behind me right there. It's like a saint. I call this painting a holy man, right? It's like with a question mark. That the dogma precedes our perception. So whenever we go at something, there is something implanted in our mind that already has made itself up about something. And then the saint will say certain things, like this Kennedy guy will say certain things that make a lot of sense. They can come out and trash the shit show, the vaccine, the beer virus. They can trash it now because the operation, as Benjamin has pointed out, is over. So when the operation is over, they can create credibility for themselves by coming and saying all the right things about what was happening. But at the time, I didn't know a lot of the things about Kennedy, but he would have parties at his house in Hollywood where people needed to be vaccinated in order to attend. So on the one hand, he's speaking out against vaccinations because apparently his voice, if it's true, he was vaccine injured and he talks the way he does. What an affliction that is. And I would be I would speak out against vaccines as well, but obviously he didn't, because during the shit show, he required people to have proof of vaccination to attend his debauched parties, whatever that was about. Anyway, you can listen to the Owen thing. It's worthwhile. It's worthwhile to get. And in the context of what I had said a couple of months ago, that the next shit show will be delivered by a saint. So here we have already promoted, propagated as an infallible person who has an affliction, who needs to be regarded and respected a priori to anything else. In other words, he needs to be loved and admired because he's afflicted. So he's going to tug on our heartstrings because he has some affliction. And Benjamin points out clearly, to be king and to be the representative of the highest part of ourselves. This is also why kings often wore the crown, in order, if just in case they weren't quite up to the task, the crown channeled all this incredible energy from the cosmos, through the crown into the headspace, and it could be disseminated for public consumption. So the king needs to be like top-notch character, not like a geriatric, demented, fumbling, bumbling Joe. So that in itself already, of course, is an indication of humiliation, how this American empire, in front of our eyes, the elites are humiliating the people. This king, the Biden king, represents the population, and through his presence, his mere presence, is so humiliating to this empire that will ultimately collapse in on itself as, again, Owen points out, the comfort levels, like in Rome, are at such a high level. It's artificial because all the comfort that people have is artificial because it's all kind of like, it's going to be paid off, or it can never be paid off because the money print, all that kind of stuff, the money printing thing, all fits into the level of comfort that people believe themselves to have, when in fact, their lives are miserable. It's like you don't want to be sedated with comfort and miss, at the height of your life, you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, you're operating on a high level of potentially a high level of cognition, where things really make sense to you, where you're able to respond to your environment, everything around you, and all you can think of is getting your nuts stroked in a certain way, or having the comforts that make you feel or think you have evolved into the highest level of humanness, where in fact it's the opposite that's happening. That's what he's pointing out. And in order now for this reality to be maintained, the owners have a lot at stake right now, because people like me, and even the flawed Benjamin character, is revealing to many of their followers and people that listen how depraved and degenerate the system that we live in is attempting to hold on. So that's why I was saying, in order for this next shit show to be delivered, and I don't think Kennedy himself is going to preside over the alien part. I think that'll be the next shit show. It appears that way anyway. What his part will be, but he will butter us up. He's going to butter us up, saying all the right things and doing the opposite. Benjamin pointed out that his first wife killed herself, supposedly, in mysterious circumstances. It's not really, like these Kennedys operate and have the freedom to operate and do the things that ordinary people wouldn't be capable or allowed to do. They have all their handlers, and he wants certain comforts and things in his life, and they get done. Get done. If I want to get something of comfort, I have to do it myself. If it's like making a painting. I have to do it myself. I can't assign the leprechauns to come and make the paintings. Although there are some artists that are actually designating the paintings, and they do have leprechauns. They make money, and then they hire leprechauns to come in overnight and make the paintings, which is sort of interesting too. It's kind of like a Warhol phenomenon. It's like to diminish and to extract everything that's beautiful and wonderful in what our experience of art is, was basically extracted brilliantly. I mean, this is why I admire Warhol, because he managed to identify the depravity of the art culture, or just culture in general, how you could reduce something to nothing. Like, he's feeding you marshmallows and then you die. You're eating marshmallows for 2 months and then there's nothing left. All the nutrition has been gone. So his art is basically marshmallows for, if you're trying to sustain yourself on Warhol art, you're going to die. You're culturally going to die. However, the fact that this phenomena, this extraction of soul, has been so clearly identified, makes him important to me as an artist, in the senses, don't do what he did. And I sometimes reference his work. Actually, one of my paintings is, I just noticed, is up for auction. I should put a link to it when it comes up at local auction in Toronto. Waddington Auctions is one of my sort of extract. Uh, uh, I made a painting that extracted the soul out of a Warhol. So in my way, and I called it. It was a soup can based on the Warhol famous Campbell soup can, and the soup was called blah 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 soup. So I'll attach a link as soon as I see the. I was notified by the auction house that one of my paintings is coming up. They do that. I don't know why they do that, because I'm not going to send my clients to buy a person that is going to buy something from me to an auction house, because I get zero. I mean, in auctions, if I sold the painting for $3,000 or $4,000 and somebody buys it, I don't get a nickel out of that. You know, they may sell it for 10,000. I don't get a nickel, or they may sell it for less. I don't know. Hopefully not. So anyway, my point is this fits into the video I made a couple of months ago regarding the Saints, and this RFK Jr. qualifies as a saint because his pristine image, other than his voice, which is contributing to people's sympathy, his pristine image is a facade, meaning the pristine image in terms of the politically correct pristine image of this afflicted person who's going to deliver us the good news. The good news. Remember, no news is good news. This person has been declared a saint by many people that responded to Benjamin. Somebody's coming on my stairway. Oh, okay. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. You wanna appear? Hey, darling. Hello. Have a seat. I'll make you a tea. I just finished. No tea. I just finished a dissertation on the next shit show will be delivered by a saint.
Oh.
Remember I mentioned to you that I think that, yeah, okay. Anyway, that's all I got today. I'm going to put a link on the bottom for the Benjamin presentation, which is superb. I chuckled. I had to chuckle. You know, I have reservations about Owen, but it's worth listening to.